Welcome. I am Dr. Marlene Tejas Cordova, board certified family physician, and I have a practice in Pembroke Pines, and this is my radio show, Ohealth by Dr. T. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a very special guest today on the show. She's a colleague and a friend, and we're going to have conscious conversation about her own health journey and all the different alternative approaches, holistic approaches, mind-body approaches that one could take to find that place of healing and deep understanding of oneself. And I couldn't think of a better person to have this conscious conversation with. She is Ceci Taborelli. She hosts a very popular show on JLT Radio, like the internet radio I am on right now. It is showing on there. It's a channel there, Citas Conscientes, and YouTube channel Citas Conscientes. I hope you'll see that when she comes on, so you can please subscribe to her YouTube channel. Hi, Cecilia.
Hello.
Welcome. As I was saying, I was talking up your YouTube channel. It is mainly in Spanish, and most of my audience is bilingual, so I encourage you all to go to Citas Conscientes on YouTube and subscribe. She has amazing interviews that I know you're going to find very interesting, fascinating, and I know what might resonate with you somehow. And a lot of my audience is bilingual, and they have family that's in Spanish. I know they've been asking me for more Spanish content, and so I'd love for everyone listening to go to her YouTube channel. There's a lot of amazing Spanish content there, and all with wonderful speakers. And Cecilia Taborelli also is an amazing interviewer, and I am so honored to have her on my show, my new show that she actually encouraged me to do and step out of my comfort zone. And we're going to have conscious conversations, hopefully, and share what that is like with all of you. And because we have many of those, and we often conclude with, wow, that was powerful. Just having these conversations can be in and of themselves so healing. And we want to just share all that with you all. And of course, Cecilia Taborelli has so much wisdom to share. And I hope that happens tonight.
Thank you, Dr. T, for having me. I'm honored to share this space with you. You know how much I admire and honor your work. You are a fabulous, fantastic doctor. You have a twist, though, and that twist is what makes you so special. I don't think I am capable of putting words out there to explain the kind of medicine that you practice, because it's above and beyond the medicine that we all know. So thank you from my heart, because of what you do as a professional, as a doctor, as a human being shining your light. It's really amazing. And I agree with you, what you just said. I think the power of conscious conversations, which would be the translation of the name of my radio show, is underrated. You know, we sometimes are not fully aware of the power that it has to gift ourselves and allow someone else to hold space to talk about those things that make us feel uncomfortable, that are going on in our brains and our minds, and we can't make peace with. And the moment we are put in front of another human being who holds that space, we are forced to kind of pull that root that sometimes is almost in our subconscious, right? And put it out there. And when I put it out there and I tell you what's going on, if I'm worried, if I'm concerned about something, I'm also giving myself the opportunity to listen to what I'm telling you. And you know as much as I do, because we share these a lot, the healing power that move has. Just connecting heart to heart with another person and kind of getting naked, get our soul naked, get our minds downloaded onto someone else who can hold that space for us. That's healing. That's your healing, at least in my own experience.
Yes, thank you so much. And speaking of that, and how important conversations are, how important words are, right? And the choice of words. And I love how when we're having talks, that you bring out. Listen to what you just said, and I love that I can have these conversations with you, so that, and I don't take it personally. I actually love it, because you're like, you're right, because most of our thoughts and most of our words, I think, are automatic and unconscious. And I'd love to talk about that, how important, and bring all of you that light, that awareness of what are we speaking out loud, what do we keep saying over and over that we're not aware of, and we can have a conscious sister like my Cecilia, my sister, my friend, my colleague,
And the
who
beauty of
consciously
it,
and with love say, listen to what you just said,
it's beautiful, because if you think about the habits, the routine activities that we do on a daily basis, you brush your teeth, you take a shower every day, maybe you wash your hair, you don't think about that anymore. You just do it automatically because you
Right.
created that habit, right? Well, now what happens is that the more you condition yourself to maintain that hygiene in your language, you clean
Yes.
up your language, clean up after yourself. Okay, listen to the way you're talking. So when you say, oh my God, this is killing me, you're killing me, this makes me sick.
Very powerful.
Really? Really? I hate that. And I tell my kids all the time, and they roll their eyes like, oh my God, mom, you know what I mean. I'm like, yeah, I know what I mean, but the universe doesn't. Because you're vibrating that level of energy of hate, sickness, killing me. So I'm just trying to make people more aware of what are you really saying, and do you mean what you say. So the hygiene of our words is so important, and even more when we're holding space for someone else, and
Yes.
you're really listening to that other person. Just be there, be present, not to criticize or judge, but to pick that language and give it back to them, saying, hey, do you know why you feel like you feel? Do you know why you feel so depleted of energy? Do you know why you feel so exhausted? Why you feel so unhappy with yourself? Because you're talking to yourself. You think you're talking to me, but when I talk to you, I'm listening too, right? And if I'm listening to myself saying these things, it's very powerful. It's almost like I'm intoxicating myself unconsciously, right? And I think I'm venting and downloading. I'm not. I'm just in that vicious loop of telling you everything that makes me sick, what kills me, but that's not
Yes.
allowing me to get off that vicious cycle, but stay in there and get stagnant. So it's really powerful, and I love our relationship because you catch me, I catch you, and it's from a loving place of hello, listen, listen to what you're saying.
I
If I
love
know
that.
how
Thank
much
you
I
so
love
much.
you, and I
I
can
love
see,
that.
I don't want to see you hurting yourself. No one wants to see someone who you love hurting themselves, right? So, with a lot of love and compassion, you have to say, listen to what you just said.
Right.
That's all you have to do. And it's beautiful. I love it. I
And I
love
think that's, like, honestly the perfect definition of what a conscious conversation is. I mean, you have an active listener, a person listening from their heart, connected to their heart, and lovingly saying, listen, not really with judgment and criticism, but just pointing out, like, can you just repeat what you just said? And I love that, because it's funny how we all need that. I talk to patients in the office, and I actually am beginning to point that out with their own self-talk and having them more self-aware. And I have to say, and then they start to kind of feel bad right away. It's like, wow, you're right. And then I tell them it's okay. I have my peeps that also tell me the same thing. We're all in this together, and we are all doing this for each other. And it really is a beautiful thing to think about, because I know that I receive that loving, conscious conversation from my dear circle of friends and like yourself. And I am able to share that in my work with my patients in the office, and with my kids, with my family, specifically my two teenagers that you and I often have conversations about that too. How, because all we really want is to have them feel safe to come to us and talk to us, and have conscious conversations with us, right? And have them learn how to have a conscious, and it's by witnessing it, right? Witnessing, overhearing, maybe mom and her friend having a conscious conversation. I'm sure they've learned so much from watching you and your citas conscientes. I mean, that must be amazing for them to witness as well, because there's nothing like the example, because you can
Well,
speak and speak and speak, but to actually witness the example of that, that's powerful. And you can talk a little bit more about that if you want.
interesting that you just brought that up because we were having some ice cream the other night, and I was playing with my kids, and I said, I'm gonna make you do an exercise. Just listen to what I'm gonna ask you. And I asked them, if I say I went to the supermarket and I bought 3 apples, and I decided to return 2, how many apples did I end up with? And they were like, Mom, 1. And I'm like, okay, now listen, listen. I went to the supermarket, I bought 3 apples, and I decided to return 2. How many apples did I end up with? And they were like, I mean, yeah, it's obvious. It's 1 apple. You ended up with 1 apple because you returned 2. And I said, I never said that I returned 2. I said that I decided to return 2. But deciding to do something and doing it are 2 completely different things. And they were like, oh my God, that's a play with, you're playing with words. But I said, you know what? When you really listen with your whole body, mind, presence, attention, focus. And that's so powerful when you can connect with someone else from that space. And I was also reflecting on this the other day. What if when you're going to have a conversation with someone, you go there more to listen than to talk? And on top of that, you're going to use your listening capability as a way of allowing the other person to heal. Just think about this for a second, how powerful it is that you're going to hold space for someone else who's going to talk to you. You're going to listen with the sole intention of allowing that person to heal. Right out of the gate, there is no way you're going to be judging or condemning that person because the intention is already set. You're there to hold space, to listen, and to allow the other person to heal. There's no communication that is neutral. That doesn't exist. There is not such a thing. Either I feed you words that are going to nurture your heart and your mind,
Right,
or I'm going to intoxicate you. What do you
right.
want to give the other person? Do you want to be toxic or do you want to be nurturing? Woo! I love it. I love it.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. I love that we're sharing this, just being together on the screen right now in two different places, and yet I feel connected, and I feel that's the case because we're having a conscious, connected conversation. And also, as you beautifully stated, for you're holding space and you're mainly listening and connected to your heart from a place of love and no judgment, right? And sometimes even being like a mirror in a way, you're just holding space. Can you talk a little bit about what could be beneficial to do while you're there holding space and listening? What are some things people can do? Because I feel that it could be some practical tips like that people can begin applying right away in their romantic relationships, in their relationships with their parents, in their relationship with their kids. How important it is, and I know I try to do that in my practice with my patients. I really do, and it's powerful, magical experience that happen when I just sit there with that intention of holding space to see what comes out. That they share with me, where they feel comfortable sharing something that is scary, and they show vulnerability. And of course, I have the white doctor coat on, the scrubs. I'm the doctor, so of course already there's implied trust and, okay, I'm going to trust this doctor with this information. But I find it more challenging to go and apply that to my home. So I'm beginning to practice that more at home with my parents and my two teenage kids, and in my relationship, my romantic relationships too. And I think everyone can use these tips from you, Ceci, because I know you also practice it and you use it, I think, in your interviews, right? Your YouTube channel is called Citas Conscientes. I mean, they're conscious conversations, they're interviews done in a conscious way, and you become a master at that. And I'd love for you to share maybe some tips that all of us out there listening can begin to apply right now, right away, from this moment forward, as they relate with their loved ones and their colleagues too. It really has no limit as to how powerful it can be with just relating in general and bringing more unity, consciousness to this world.
I'm not an expert on this. I'm only an expert on my own life, as you may know. And I am speaking from my own experience. And I think you know that everything that I talk about is because I use it, I live it. That's my life. That's
I
who
call
I am.
that expert. Okay, so I'm Dr. T, and my opinion, my medical opinion is
Yeah, I get it. So,
she's
but
mastered these skills. She's got skills, and she can share them with all of you that I feel would benefit. Because this show ultimately is to educate, inspire, and motivate everyone listening in ways that they can improve their health and well-being. And I can't think of a better way than to learn how to have a conscious conversation with yourself and with others. That self-talk, right? As well, this can be applied to your self-talk, because that is big. We can talk kind to others, and then we'll turn around and be the worst enemy and our worst critic, and that makes us sick. We'll have physical manifestations of disease if the self-talk is not healthy. And so that is why I've decided to interview you today, because I believe you have great tips, practical tips that anyone can apply right away into their self-talk and into their conversations with all those around them.
thank you so much for your kind words. I agree with you 100% on everything that you just said. As I said, I'm not an expert, but everything that I can share is from my own experience and also what works in my own life.
Yeah.
So I realized that if you want your communication to be very effective, you can put a lot of effort into your words, the message that you want to deliver. But there is one component that if it's not there, nothing is more important than your presence in that relationship. Okay? As you said before, the connection between the two persons is what really gives that relationship the texture, the quality of intimacy. And I'm not talking about intimacy in a sexual relationship. We are intimate. We have an intimacy when we connect heart to heart. So I think the first thing to be very aware of when you talk to your kids, when you talk to your husband, your wife, whoever you're talking to, and this is something that I see in you as a medical doctor in your practice, it's not what you say, but how you say it. From where from are you coming out to say what you're saying? And if it's not from a presence, from a conscious presence, then you're gonna get lost in the words and in the message that's gonna sound like empty. So presence is critical to me more than anything else. Then the other thing that I love doing is when I know I'm gonna have, especially a critical conversation with someone, is just to give that person the chance to be this wise human being, to see the Buddha in that other person. And it might be that that person is not going to show it to me. It might be that that person is going to be anything but a Buddha, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the other person shows me. It is what I am choosing to look for and to see in the other person. So, like Tony Robbins does this exercise in his seminars, and he says, well, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to look around in your room and look for green objects. Go now. Look for green objects in your room right now. 30 seconds. And so people say, green, green, green. And you have to remember and memorize, okay, all the green objects in the room. And once the time is over, he says, okay, now I want you to tell me all the red objects that you saw in the room. And you're like, wait a minute. I wasn't looking for red. I don't know. I didn't see any red. Well, you only see what you focus on, what you're looking for,
Right.
right? So if you're looking for red, you're gonna find red. If you're looking for green, you're gonna find green. And in a communication with someone else, if it's from a conscious place, what you're gonna look for is what you're gonna find. So it doesn't matter if the other person ends up yelling at you or being, more aggressive than what you like, or it doesn't matter because you're only assuming that he has or she has that capability. She or he may not be exercising that right now, but the potential is there. And that makes you honor the other person. And so, regardless of what the other person is going to give you, you're going to honor and hold space for that person to see herself or himself. And if they want to change or make some adjustments, they may. But if not, you just don't engage. You just don't engage, and that's a beautiful thing. But you have to be very, very present. Every time you communicate, remember, when you communicate, your words is only 7% of the impact that you make on the other person. The other percent is everything else that you do, where you vibrate emotionally, energetically, what you do with your hands, with your body, eye contact. So it's very, very powerful to be very conscious, very self-conscious, I guess.
Right. That's a good point. So far, I'm gonna recap so far. So the tip number one is to be present when you have and then tip number two is really set the intention to maybe honor and hold space. So you're gonna be present, and you can do some breathing techniques, which we can talk about in a moment. How can we're stressed out, we just came from work, and you have your children, haven't seen you all day, and there's a perfect opportunity, where we can practice these tips. How do we get ourselves present quickly, and then set the intention to honor that person you love and care about, and give them space, and they feel you totally present. I know that I feel it when someone's present with me, and I know they feel it when I'm present. I mean, and then we're going to talk about what vibration we want to be at, right? And then those other things. So presence, intention, vibration. So what are some things that you advise that we can reset instantly from, like, scatterbrain and worry and stress and overwhelm, and we realize, at least we have the awareness, like, okay, I really want to have a conscious conversation right now. How can I quickly get into that mode?
Well,
What do
again,
you do?
you said that the intention is critical. If you start without an intention, it's going to take you longer to rescue yourself from a conflictive conversation or interaction with someone else. So the intention is really right out of the gates one of the most important things. The other thing is when you feel you're being dragged into a playground that doesn't satisfy your needs. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be dragged
Yeah.
into dirty mud because I'm tired, I'm concerned, I'm exhausted. I just don't feel like being dragged into that world. Breathing is definitely a tool that we can all use. Take a deep breath and come back to the present moment. Okay? And when you take a deep breath, you are telling your brain and your body that you are in control. No one has control over you. Versus if you don't, you're going to become a product of the circumstances, a result, a consequence of the situation. Okay, you're playing, as I always tell you, at a horizontal level. You're just bouncing each other and hitting each other like the, how do you call
Reacting,
it? What's that? Reacting.
just reacting instead of maybe responding or being able to transcend.
Yes, so you're always at this level, and at this level you're not gonna find it. Now, when you stop and take a deep breath, now you're going vertically. So it's kind of like you're connecting with something that's above you. You're not here anymore, not even here. You're just allowing something more powerful to just, it's like plugging yourself into wisdom.
Opening up.
Yes, I mean, you can call it God, you can call it, um, divine consciousness, give it the name you want. But now you're at a different level. So you're stepping up the game. Then the other thing that I found very powerful is eye contact. Eye contact, right? Now I was talking to a friend today about this. Eye contact is so crucial when you're doing public speaking and you have an audience. They tell you just make sure that you have eye contact with as many people as you can, and that's really nice. But what happens when you talk with one person? You normally just avoid that because it makes you feel uncomfortable, right? It's like, oh, he's getting into my private territory, and I don't like that. Well, I have news for you. If you have someone who is being aggressive with you, who's not being conscious, who's not present, just by breathing and holding eye contact with compassion can dismantle the whole situation. You don't have to do anything. Actually, it's easier if you can remain as you are right now, even with smile in your face. Understanding that whatever the other person is feeding you talks more about what they have in their present right now than what you deserve to receive or what you are going to allow to receive from them, right? So if you can see that clearly, you hold a space, you take a deep breath, you vibrate that compassion, and I'm telling you, more than likely, that person is gonna feel, what am I doing? Why are you not engaging in this fight? Why are you not, screaming back or yelling back or insulting me back? What am I doing wrong? This is not being effective. So you are really dismantling the situation. And remember, you can always leave the scene. You can always just put your guns down and say, not interested. Is that you were talking about the inner dialogue? You know how many times a day I feel I have like a car salesman in my mind trying to advertise thoughts that I am supposed to buy about me, my life, what I should be doing, what I should have not done, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, no, thank you. You're not gonna take me there. Like Marianne Williamson said, my mind is like a dangerous neighborhood that I don't dare walking in by myself. Right? We know there is a lot of danger in this little mind of us, but you are in control. So if I am in control and I have my mind shooting thoughts that are intoxicating me and that my mind is trying to sell me so I can buy them and then feel more stressed and worried and not good enough and I should have. Why didn't I? I can say, no, thank you. It's like, oh, would you like to buy this car? This car? No, thank you. And how about this one? This is, no, thanks. I'll pass. That's our power.
Is that what you would call witness consciousness?
Yes, yes. And the more, as I said before, the more you do that, like it becomes a habit that you don't even think about. You don't think about how you're gonna brush your teeth every morning. You just go do it. You don't think about how you're gonna grab the soap and put it under the water. No, you just do it. This is the same thing. It's really easy to build that muscle so that you can communicate properly with someone else and with yourself. And let me tell you, if you can conquer that inner dialogue, if you can be the buyer who is very picky when it comes to choosing what I'm going to tell myself, the words that I'm going to give myself, the thoughts that I'm going to pick, then it's almost like organic and natural to gift that to someone else because you're doing it with yourself already. So
Right.
how can I do that with myself and do the contrary or the opposite with you? Now, when I don't do it with myself, it's very likely that if you say, "Why in the world would you?" I'm like, "Well, because you never told me, because you didn't say." I lost the battle because I'm not connected here. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. So basically, it's important to be the witness of your thoughts, maybe, and then setting the intention to pick your words and to be mindful of the words that you're picking and to set the intention like you said, that you're going to choose wisely more from now on. You're going to set the intention that you're going to care about the words you say. You're going to care about them, and you're going to now you understand that they have an effect. That these words are not neutral, and I think that's what we're wanting also to let everyone out there know that speaking of vibration and energy, that words do carry a vibration and energy, and there are specific words and that are going to be high in vibration and low in vibration, and you're going to practice. I think you get to practice feeling what different words feel like, and it's so beautiful because you even, I believe, notice that even more when you're having a conscious conversation with someone else. I think that's a beautiful experience as well. And I feel that's why this is an important conversation, because I believe that when you're having a conscious conversation with someone else and you get to practice doing that, you're going to get really good at being the witness of the conversation and being so connected that you get to learn from, wow, that felt good and that didn't feel so good, and that felt good and that didn't feel so good, and because like you said, you're present, like you said, Cecilia, the tips are to be present, take a deep breath, get connected to your intention that you're going to hold space for that person and or yourself. In meditation, for example, you want to hold space for yourself. Self-care is huge. um, and notice the vibration, right? Can you explain how you maybe tap into how things feel according to energy and vibration, and how
Yeah,
others can begin to notice that or practice that
yeah.
sensing vibration?
It sounds awesome when someone talks about vibration and keeping a high vibration, but it's like, how do I get there, right?
Right.
How do I access that high vibration? And there is many, 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 many things that a person can do to get there. I can tell you one of the things that I used to do for a long time when I caught myself not being loving with myself through my inner dialogue. I pretended I was my mother, not my specific mother, but the mother that I would see as the perfect mother, you know, the mother that's nurturing, loving, compassionate, who holds that space, who projects that unconditional love. And so I would say, okay, what would that ideal mother tell you right now? How would you, how would she speak to you? What would she say? How would she say it? And then I started to role playing with myself. It sounds a little cuckoo, but it worked for me, right? What would she say? And the moment I start practicing that exercise of, oh, she would tell me, everything is okay. You are good enough. You don't need to do or become anything to be loved. You are enough. You are loved the way you are right now. Everything is perfect. You didn't do anything wrong. You did the best you could. I get the chills right now
I got them too.
while I'm telling you this. I get the chills because that's what it means, and that's the way you know you're vibrating high. When you feel those chills, it's like, oh, let me stay there for a little longer and a little longer and you milk that space. You milk it, right? You continue to give yourself that love. You continue to express those words, and then you extend it and stretch it. And that's how you're going to vibrate higher. And another exercise, which I started doing when I became a mother myself, when I started either punishing myself or I got a friend who came and said, "Oh, I cannot believe I did this," and she was a mother too, I would say, "Let me ask you a question. If what you just said, your daughter or your son told you, what would be your answer to that?" And anybody who is a mother or a father would come from unconditional love. So whichever message you would give, you know it's gonna be impregnated by unconditional love. So those are a couple of tricks that you can use to get yourself to that high vibration place. But there's lots of things like, you know, visualizing, playing music that really makes you feel, oh my God, this feels good. There's many things. Um, in my mind, the biggest challenge, because I've always been very rational, very left brain, has been to stop the mind, to stop the monkey mind and regain that place of calmness, right? And I've heard about this example or metaphor. If you have a train that's starting to move, right, and you want to stop it, when is it easier to stop it? Is it easier to stop it when it's going at 1,000 miles an hour, or is it easier to stop it when it's just starting to move? So if you let this go fast and quickly and unconsciously for too long, it's gonna take you more effort and longer to stop it. Now, if you catch it right away, if you catch yourself when you are punishing yourself, then it's so much easier because it's like, oh, wait, again, the car salesman, I do not want to go there. Don't take me there. I'm not ready. I didn't sign up for that. So leave me alone and let me go back to my loving place. So I think that's very powerful.
Thank you so much. I want to recap how healing, I want to bring to light how healing conscious conversations are, because as you said, it requires you to get present, number one, set the intention to be connected to love and presence. And I know this is live. Come on in. My charger is not plugged into my laptop, so my son, hopefully, it'll be just in time. He'll
Welcome to
come and bring it to me, and he can come in and I will plug it in. But again, have compassion, mistakes. Like when you visualize yourself having a conversation as if your mom is talking to you, and it's okay. Come on in. I'm going to plug it in right now. Thank you, guys. Perfect example.
But let me tell you, doctor, that I'm going to use what's happening right now because
Thank you.
we have a lot of interferences in our communication. We have constant interference in our communication,
Right.
and it's part of life, right? So welcome these things. Welcome that you lost yourself for a little bit. Welcome the fact that someone came by and yelled at you for no reason. Welcome the fact that things are not going always as you planned,
Right.
because that helps you exercise that muscle. Any physical personal coach is going to tell you you need to change your physical schedule so you're not working out the same muscle every single day of your
Right.
life in the same way. Welcome to life. You know, I lost you for a second. I'm not taking it personal. I'm not judging you. Come on, Dr. T, this isn't like this, and you should
You,
have prepared for that. Come on, what's going on here? No. Use life to really nurture yourself and surrender to the present moment as it presents itself.
yes,
And the freedom that's waiting for you when you allow yourself to do that, oh,
it's
it's so,
very healing.
oh,
Very healing. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, like this example right now, my son just brought me the charger, and just really having that compassion in my practice, and now I'm more than ever now. I'm 51 years old. I've been practicing for 23 years. So it's never too late. More than ever now, you can bring that into your internal world and apply those things that you're using to help others, to help yourself really find that place of continued learning and continued healing within ourselves, those conscious conversations that you are really showing in this interview what a conscious conversation looks like. What are the things you can do right away to have them? But the main thing as a physician, okay, how healing this can be, because it requires, if you think about it, requires you to connect to a place of love, and when you connect and you're present and you're connected and holding space and you're honoring that person, as you mentioned, you're setting the intention. Your tip was to set the intention to honor them and hold space for them. As you do that for someone else, you're doing it for yourself. And I want you all to realize how powerful that is. Your body loves that. Your cells, your DNA, your immune system it is boosted by this vibration of love, compassion, acceptance, understanding, and also you're in a way connected to peace, because when you're in the present moment, breathing deeply, as one of the tips you said, is to take a few deep breaths and look them in the eye, okay? And you're connecting soul to soul, heart to heart. That I just wanted to point out physiologically has an effect that is very healing to the body. It'll improve and get your heart rate in more healthy range, and your blood pressure will be stabilized. Memory is actually improved. You're actually more likely to remember the conversation, remember the things that they said, because that's another thing. Many patients complain of memory loss, and I wind up pointing out to them, you're just not really fully present, in those circumstances. And so this is a great tip for all of you watching that you can apply and really notice if you have improved memory, because you're so present. You've set the intention to come from a loving place, holding space, vibrating from a place of love, compassion, and understanding, which is a healthy vibration. Not from the opposite of that is coming from disconnection, overwhelm, stress, anxiety. That's the opposite. That's a vibration, an energy that is toxic. It makes us feel tired. It is burdensome. And the complaint in the office could be fatigue. And yet the blood pressure will be normal, heart rate will be normal, lab work will be normal. There'll be no deficiencies. But yet the deficiency is that there's this lack of conscious conversations with ourselves and with others. And that's why I'm so happy that you joined me again. I know I keep thanking you, but I am super grateful that you took the time, because I know you're incredibly busy. And I asked her, by the way, this morning to do this with me. And it's meant to be when someone just says yes right away. You're on purpose and on point, and that you have an important message to share. And that's most likely why she probably said yes. But because you probably agree with that. And
totally.
and I just wanted to point out how healing, because that is the twist, I guess, the family practice that I have with a twist, the holistic approach, the intention to have, and I mean, be perfect always at it, but I definitely set the intention to have them. And I know with practice, you eventually get masterful at it. I mean, that's the idea, right? You
And
become a master of your
I
life.
know you know this and you live this not only in your personal life, but also in your professional life. Because in my experience with you as a doctor, not only do you hold that space, not only do you lovingly manage what comes out of your mouth, but most importantly, you listen. And for a medical doctor to be able to take the time to be present and to listen to what we have to say, sometimes half of the battle is already conquered when I can tell you all my pains and aches and why it hurts and all my miseries and why I feel so miserable and why I'm so concerned. And if you could have like an emotional tester, right, before and after a patient tells you their stories, I would say that before, the emotional load is going to be pretty huge, and right after they downloaded everything onto you, it's probably 50% lighter. And on top of that, to have you as a doctor saying, okay, I'm here for you, we are in this together. We're gonna find a way to solve this problem. You know, this is nothing major. This is a very common concern in my practice. Then you continue to put like an cold like an ice pack on the wound of the patient, not the physical wounds, you know, the emotional wounds that they don't know how to handle themselves. So it's really powerful what you do, Dr. T, really powerful, even more in your position, because you deal with a lot of our anxiety and our fears when you go to a doctor's office because we're worried, right? And it's more critical in your position how you properly manage your message, your words, your presence, your your capacity to listen to your patients. So that's why I said at the very beginning that I admire you and honor you not only as a friend, but also as a professional because you're pretty unique in that sense.
Oh, thank you. I have the chills. I felt love in every word. And I am practicing receiving because we are givers. You know, usually when you're in the healing world and taking care of patients, and you're a mom and you have kids, you know, I need to point out how important it is to take a moment to also receive, open up, and receive, and relax, and really allow yourself. And I just love everything that you're teaching. Okay, believe it or not, you're teaching in this interview, you know, how everyone can begin practicing conscious conversations right now in this very
Right?
moment.
Right. No excuses.
No excuses. You have been given all the tips. You can do it. You don't need anything. You don't need a special gadget. You don't need anything at all. Just your mind, body, and soul, right? Because body language is also part of the conscious conversation. Can you speak on that a little bit? Posture, body language, or is there anything you could share that might help
Oh
in
my God.
allowing a conscious conversation to go down?
We would need like another hour to go through that.
Great. I have another interview set then. Put me
You got it.
down.
You got it. Confirmed. Done deal. But yes, it's your body language. When you communicate, you don't communicate a message. You communicate who you are. So if you're short of breath, if you're speaking like this, if you're like right, if you're like this, if you're using your hands a lot, if you're petrified, exactly. Everything talks about
This would
who
not be good.
you're not delivering a message. You're delivering your being. So if you're very conscious about that and you're very connected, it doesn't matter what you say. It's always going to be the perfect message because it comes from that hygiene that we talked about. So we can have another conscious conversation about how to communicate properly through managing consciously your body language. But that would take a lot of time. So
You're
I
right.
just want to say thank you so much for having me. for giving me the opportunity to share these few tips with your audience from my heart. Again, this doesn't come from a book or from a movie or from a documentary. It comes from life and from love and from my heart. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you so much. I believe that those are the best lessons, testimonials, that practical tips and experiences are the greatest wisdom in my view. Sharing what you do, what works for you, with others, and that's what I hope this show does too, more and more. I feel that has a lot of power, and I know this was going to resonate. I feel with a lot of people out there. And any questions or comments, please send them. Citas Conscientes is a great YouTube channel. Please check her out tonight when you're like not knowing what to watch. Okay, I know most of you are bilingual and you have Spanish family. I've been asked a lot for more Spanish content. Again, go to Citas Conscientes on YouTube. This is jltradio.com, also a great internet radio station with a lot to offer. Any of you that want to do more and get out of your comfort zone like I am doing right now. And I, again, am super grateful, Cecilia, that you joined me from
Thank
my
you
heart to
so much.
yours, have this beautiful conscious conversation. And I hope we have many more. And thank you all for joining me on this Ohealth by Dr. T YouTube channel. And I hope that I provide wisdom, inspiration, education, and motivation to just continue to learn all the different ways that you can love yourself to Ohealth. This is Dr. T. Bye.